In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. It says in the text that the beginning was a void of space and time, without shape or form. To the best of our ability, we personify this void with water. And in the midst of this void existed a supreme intelligence and maturity. Words were uttered. The words were, "Let there be light," and there was light. Soon there were other words, other manifestations, one of which being land to separate the waters, the earth. And because we share all of the elements of the earth, we too can call ourselves earth. Greetings and welcome to another step in the journey, another brick in the temple. This is the build. I am partnered with my brother Eli as we will bring him in for our opening announcements before we continue with our discussion.
Blessings, everyone. Blessings. Hope and pray everyone had a beautiful day today. The words we are expressing freely are not meant to offend anyone. Please, we definitely want to offend anyone. Our words are not meant to be in any competition with anyone else's wisdom. Your wisdom and understanding by God is yours alone. We are choosing to remain consecrated while being in the furnace of affliction. And we hope and pray that is not necessary for us to maintain in the furnace of affliction. We like to breathe and rest as well. Blessings. Of course, I'm going to go into the ancient Kemetic books. Okay. Conquering ignorance is essential. Nobody is born wise. And a person has to make serious efforts to develop the qualities that is needed to be able to speak and achieve mayat without falling into the twin traps of vanity and greed. Every day, and not every other day, but every day the ears or the living have to be made to listen to the words of wisdom. If the teachings is properly understood, then righteousness will become a reality. Just acts conforming to the precepts of Mayat are born out of this understanding. A deed done without egotism is a useful, shining examples to others, provided it obeys the golden rule to act for he who acts. And in the ancient Kemetic book of Two Ways, It says that the causes of wrongdoing are ignorance and immaturity. Blessings.
Blessings. Today, we're going to touch on a concept of which I am admittedly very new to in regards to claiming said concept as my own garment. I'll explain later, but for now, let us go over what that concept is and the very definition of the word featured in that concept. Tonight's build is based upon the concept of sovereignty. Sovereignty, by definition, is supreme power or authority, the authority to a state to govern itself or another state, a self governing state. Certain synonyms are jurisdiction, supremacy, dominion, power, and ascendancy. Also, there are autonomy, independence, self government, self rule, and home rule. In the previous build, I had brought forth quite fervently the call to action for the build as a means to have our sacred space not in just these dimensions, but in three dimensions, to actually build monuments dedicated to the sacredness of this communion here, to share with others, to have a sacred space as all other facets of life have their own sovereign spaces. Upon doing some light footwork regarding conversations with people who I had assumed were in the order in which I should have conversed for authority over said project, that being two rabbis of the Messianic faith. There were many questions that were asked once I brought to their attention more than just mere inquiry, but intrigue towards the procedures in which a traditional mikveh could be erected. What I am about to say here in the build does not reflect my thoughts towards said religious community or culture. This is a true account on two conversations with three people, two rabbis and myself, in two separate conversations. And because of these conversations, I deemed them a certain amount of reverence to record them in the journey that is this build towards achieving the erection of a three-dimensional space. Upon doing certain studies, I had come to realize certain commonalities regarding the Mi'kmaq. And one of those commonalities is that you should consult a rabbi who is in the know of building the mikvah, the dimensions, the certain logistics, the approaches towards answers to certain questions that construction would ask in regards to permits and the like. And in my ferventry, joy, and excitement, the first conversation I had was with a Messianic rabbi. For those who are not in the know, Messianic Judaism is the commonality of seeing Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, as a figure of high order, but with the catch that the Hebrew culture comes first in line, and that Christianity and any other faith practice can be grafted in so that they are to come second in place always to the Jews. They are quite passionate in exclaiming this very publicly, and I had bared witness to that in one of the conversations. To be to the point, I asked, as a person who has at one time been in the Messianic community, the lengths that one would go logistically, financially, communicatively, in regards to building a mikvah with the sole purpose of creating a sacred space, knowing that the mikvah is one of the most sacred spaces to be erected. Upon asking about this, I was met with eyebrows that were raised and the questions that I will present here tonight. The first question was, are you sure? Of course, in me being as passionate of an individual as I am, I exclaimed, of course, I am quite sure. The response was, the reason why I ask is because there is a lot of work to be done, a lot of people that would have to do the work for you if you do not know what that work is. And you will be questioned by certain authorities regarding permits, as well as the Jewish community itself. Before I could answer any of those interceptions, I'll say, I was interrupted with yet another question. What is your purpose for building this? Is it for a Jewish community or no? The exclusion of any other community with that spacing before saying or no set a different temperature in the environment. But of course, if the candle cannot complain, I must stay calm. And in my rapport, my response was it would be a sacred space for people who were in desire of sacred spaces. Myself and my brother are included, but it would be for people who are seeking a sacred space the way we had. The rebuttal was, well, there are many sacred spaces. There are many other synagogues. There are many temples. There are many other places. Why, for you, are you to create this specifically? Are you attempting to erect this place for monetary gains? At this point, I felt slightly offended because addressing this as the erection of a sacred space does not give any connotation to wanting to make a profit out of said sacred space. Yet I was assumed in that conversation as if I was a person that wanted to capitalize on a culture, an appropriation, even because I am what the Hebrews would call a goy. We'll get to that word later. Soon after, there was much of a banter of back and forth, which began to escalate. And to de escalate the situation, I thanked him for his time. I said to these rabbi that if I had any more questions, I'll be sure to ask him first because I honor his opinion. I then called another person who knew of a rabbi in a different state. And this rabbi was not at all reformed, not at all messianic. And much to my dismay, I could not compute with much of what he was saying because he was speaking Yiddish. That is due to my ignorance of the language or dialect. However, what was understood was that if this was not something that was meant specifically for the Jewish people, he would have no part in it. I came to my brother and did not necessarily disclaim the entirety of the details of the conversations, to which my dear brother brought to me the concept of sovereignty. That because of what we have endured, we as a people, we as that which is without, slowingly without a culture, and we even as individuals within our individual struggles who are in seeking of a sacred space do not have to ask anyone to create what God wants to be created. I want to bring that to the attention of the people who are listening right now, because that is very important. He did not say what we wanted. He said what God wanted to be created. This is not of vanity. This is not of greed. This is not of immaturity. This was an answer that we are a sovereign people who have every right to create our sacred space. I was so thankful for God for that interaction, and it led me to question and deep dive into the word of sovereignty. And I found some things that were very interesting. For example, there are titles much higher than king, of which most of my people would not have even comprehended. In my immediate community, it is being taught by the supposed woke folk that we have all the bloodline of kings and queens, which is true. However, an emperor supersedes a king in every right, which has led to the fall of empires. We spoke about this in a previous build regarding the rise and fall of empires. This is done because an emperor says that a certain king is no longer fit, or that their land can be managed more effectively by their people than the ones that are set foot on the land today. I dug even deeper and found that there are only two different types of laws on the entire planet: the land laws and what is called as maritime laws. The land law of the land and the law of the sea. The law of the sea transcends across the entirety of the globe. It is more universal than the law of the land, which is the reason why, depending on what land you are on, certain things are legal and or illegal. Certain things that you can do in Russia, you cannot do here. Certain things that you can do in parts of Europe, you cannot do in South Africa. These are different types of lands which have segments that we call continents, countries, states, cities, and counties. Those are what define the lines that we have on the map, other than war, throughout the entirety of this planet. And what I've come to find is, in regards to sovereignty, almost every single war has been fought over it. Over the land laws, over trade of goods, over who will rule what. This placed me in a sense of set ease because this build, this sacred space, is uncontested. I have yet to meet, whether it is here or any other medium, any set sect of competition or fighting over any sacred spaces. And what that means is, based upon law of the land in regards to aboriginal law, if it is unclaimed and one person claim it, it is his. Until it is contested, it is his who has discovered the land. To discover does not mean to invent. To discover is to find in its rawest form or under the assumption of its rawest form. And thus, from your harvesting of its resources, through your tilling of the field, which is a servitude to the land, and to name it makes you a land lord, equivalent to king or God. Which means this: I will wait for a time when God reveals to us what will be erected for our sacred space. It may resemble something like the others. It may be a collaboration of all of the others, or it may be something completely aboriginal altogether. But I will let God have it say. I am in the final stages of having our Patreon published. And once that comes to pass, there will be a space for support to be placed for investments of whatever this creation will be. The support will come from people who will see to it that a man's word within his sovereignty is met for sake of the word itself, and not sake for me or my brother or my community. It will be the most selfless thing that will ever have been put to brick and mortar. And I would ask permission to be proud of that on occasion. I will ask favor from God to maintain what He has set to be placed on this land. And if I were to die after it has been made, I would die complete. I have said so much, but I would like for Brother Eli to share his thoughts.
Blessings, brother. I would like to go over the Wikipedia dealing with sovereignty. Sovereignty is the defining authority within individual consciousness. I'll say that again, because we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high places. Sovereignty in the Wikipedia is the defining authority within individual consciousness. And then it has social construct or territory. Sovereignty entails hierarchy within the state as well as external autonomy for states. In any state, sovereignty is assigned to the person, body, or institution that has the ultimate authority over other people. So think about that. When we look at what Wikipedia says, it says again, the first thing it says within the individual consciousness. Then it says a social construct or territory. So it also says in any state, sovereignty is assigned to the person. So think about that. Where does an idea come from? It comes from a place where there are no locks or doors or books or light or any type of vessel. It comes from somewhere unknown. So if you are a sovereign person, what you are doing is trying to show contribution to your brothers and sisters who exist in humanity. What have you contribute to our existence? Many years ago, they had this thing called fire. And then those that didn't know anything about fire, they asked and start creating their own fire. And then they exchange something for the knowledge. They may have created different type of sticks because we exist because everything else exists. We build and we build. So in order to be sovereign, you must respect the responsibility of being an individual entity that exists amongst other entities. And these other entities may have had already created their sovereign space. So that's how life works. So that's why when I heard the gentleman speaking as they were speaking to Brother Michael, I clearly understood it because when you amongst men who rule, we know that it feels good when you don't have a need for anyone else. All of us, most of us have experienced people who were in need. And then as soon as they were not in need of service anymore, their whole behavior have changed. So that's a part of the design for the undisciplined ones. So first you come up with the idea. Now the idea can only exist according to the level of knowledge that you have. For example, if I or someone else were an engineer, I can be in Barnes and Noble reading books about building things as a qualified engineer who done the work to study and then to produce ideas of himself. And then someone else can just go in that same space where I'm reading the book on engineering and they can be a cab driver. Now, both of us are humans, yet one can read the same words and apply it in the real world, while another can read the same words and all they can do is just close the book and get back in the cab and drive off. So God demands sovereignty. I have yet, Brother Michael, to see any baby in existence to go wobble over to another baby and says, "Look, I was just born. Can you please teach me how to breastfeed on these breasts, on my mother's breasts?" I have yet to see babies in a nursery asking advice from other babies on how to stand up, play with other toys, and just be a baby. So, in the beginning, all human life have to do things on their own with the same instincts as other babies. And these other babies might have been born thousands of years before the present baby, just like sperm cells. So it's very important to respect the rules of engagement, because it is more disrespectful to not be willing to at least show what's in your self-worth first. For example, I didn't know anybody around the land, and if you Google my land, you see just trees. So when I came here in my small vehicle at the time, doing stuff with my hands and with hand tools, I had to get to a certain point where a multi-millionaire, Avery, around the corner, pulled over in his truck while I was having difficulties with the chainsaw, and he came out and showed me. But they've been watching for quite some time for me to get to that point. So it is mandatory for anyone who is serious about anything to show the original effort that you are willing to do the work yourself. Otherwise, you will be considered a thief. And that's why these usurpers that you spoke to and spoke with, when you look at their history, they were cavemen and women. We have denied them at least 2,000 years of some form of education. Therefore, they went to the point of complete savages. They did not bury their dead. They didn't cook their food. So we sent Moses to civilize them, and Moses had a difficult time. And that's why you have the ones who listened to the great civilizer, and then you had the other ones who did not. And then we call them Jews, and we call the other ones Gentiles. So when you look at the KV historically and the amount of work that they put compared to when blacks were living in warm environments and just eating fruit and just chilling, they were suffering in extreme conditions. So their suffering made them get up and do something for themselves. And then when they had the ability to get themselves out of the cave life, they saw neighbors. So they explored. And that's why when you look at Adolf Hitler, he continued a legacy, but he had to get himself out of Germany first in order to explore the high mountains of monks and other places and other spaces of wisdom. just like the sperm cell, just like the baby had to lift its head. And before it can lift its head, it had to latch onto its mother's breast to receive a fluid. It didn't know the language, it didn't know the parents, it had to do it. And then it received support after it did it. So as a slave, Brother Michael and I are coming out as mental slavery. And when you coming out of a condition of being a slave who are totally dependent on his master, you will do things like that. You will go run to master for advice. And the master says, no, nigga. Why? Because you will die and get yours in heaven. And if you want to hide something from a nigga, you put it in a book. We just had Kanye West work with these people. We had Michael Jackson talk about these people. All these entertainers and all this evidence about these people. We have 4,000 years of each country kicking these people out from their lands because of their work. So these people, because we exist on knowledge and I don't believe, it is impossible for these people to be trusted. There is no human history on earth that documented to trust any European Jewish folk. They said that's why the Holy Quran is in existence, because even God could not trust them. And that's why the Holy Quran was made, to just give a plain word. So run into something that is not supposed to exist is not wise. And that's why we look at those who come before us who tried to do the same thing. So if we can look at African American history, Brother Michael, I want you to show me any evidence that these people did anything of substance for blacks without receiving more than their just due. When they come to blacks, they don't get an apple for an apple. Somehow they end up getting the land and the tree, and we end up going to the store to buy that apple, which was originally our land and apple tree. So they have proven to be a species or a race that have no room for brotherhood. They have deserved the right to be removed from humanity. So if you go to these rabbis and ask that question, have y'all in the past 4,000 years earned the right to be totally removed from humanity because you have not shown none of us true brotherhood nor sisterhood? Ask them that question. So if they have proven not to be willing to exist among other human beings for thousands of years, how is it possible now that if the God cannot trust them, how can we trust them with anything? I remember white people used to say, go back to Africa. And we used to always say in the 90s, if we would ask you that question, name one part of the planet that you can call your original home. They have nowhere on the land of the earth that they can call that they was the aborigines of that land. They have we have so much evidence, so much documentation of these people. And we don't judge these people because I spoke about that 2,000 years that we just allowed them to suffer in such egregious environments. And then until one of our righteous brothers decided to say, let's go help these animals. So when you look up the word animal, a beast, let's put definition on these words. A beast, a human beast, so I can be clear. Because these are the words that are put on our brothers and sisters. It says people can be called beasts too when they behave in a beastly way. A criminal is likely to be called a beast. So is a rude person. Any action in a uncivilized or cruel way is being a beast. So I wish you learn these words so when you communicate to them. Let's say this is what Eliyahu said about them. So it says you can refer to an animal as a beast, especially it is a large, dangerous, or unusual one. When you look at the history of these beasts, you have to ask these questions. Why they have been exiled from every civilization that allowed them to come into freely. This is on their own documentation. Brother Michael, you have to ask these questions in their face. Why have every civilization kicked them out? And of course, they will not be honest. They mix truth with falsehood. These are terms that are known. They mix truth with falsehood. They live a beastly life. They show no brotherhood or sisterhood when it comes to humanity. Therefore, they are void of existing in a purposeful way. They usurp other cultures and civilizations. This is in their own writing. So I asked them, Brother Michael, why are their historical documentations speak of them this way? They are beasts. They have been exiled everywhere they went. Exile, of course, is the. So ask them this question. To say, well, Brother Rabbi, number one, I know I can't touch you. Why have you been exiled in every civilization that allow you to go into freely and willingly? Why y'all have no concerns to be truly a part of the human family? Why is it impossible for you guys to speak absolute truth instead of mixing exaggerations and falsehood in between the truth? Historically, why do y'all have a problem with telling the absolute truth? Why is it mandatory that you guys separate yourselves from others? So once you get into a real conversation, I know you would not get the answer. And the first thing he said, why you ask this question is because as a human being, I was offended how I was treated just by simply wanting to learn how to build a swimming pool. You guys have created a fanciful swimming pool because when these things were created, mark my words down, brother, y'all had to clean y'all's pots. Y'all bathed in it because y'all didn't bathe every day. Let's get to the real reason why these things were created for you specifically because of filth. So, brother, I'm taking you back to the original reason why they specifically had to have these things created for them because they didn't bathe, they didn't clean themselves. So when you go into the original old school ways, the women clean their pots in these places. Their utensils, they cleaned it in this space. But if you notice, they wasn't allowed to be around the others to clean their pots and pans. You have to ask these questions. Why did a God have to separate them? What was going on with them? Because according to the Bible, everywhere Cain went, people wanted to murder Cain. And everywhere the European Jews go freely, for some reason, for some darn old reason, the people want to exile them. So God had to separate them to protect them from their own self. Because, Brother Michael, you can write this down. Why, if you have two rabbis, you're going to have three opinions? Another one, Brother Michael. They were told not to touch the Torah. Why did they make a plastic finger to read the Torah and touch the Torah? Why such cannery? Why are they just so, they just have the need to move around anything that they're told to do? Why did Jacob have to wrestle with the angel? Why did the little baby, why is he called a supplanter? Ask these questions. Why are they called the supplanter? Why they had to wrestle with the angel? Why they had to make a plastic hand with a finger pointing to touch the Torah when they were not allowed to even touch the Torah? Why are they always exiled everywhere they go? Why you have two rabbis and you always going to have three opinions? Why is this uncertainty within them? This asks them, why are y'all so uncertain even against your own inner thoughts? And why have y'all lived a beastly life? Those words specifically, a beastly life. So that'd be a good conversation when you're ready to have it, Brother Michael. But back to this sovereignty, brother. I think there is nothing wrong with at least trying to see what God can bless us with. And then you will find certain Jewish rabbis, Europeans specifically, that say, oh, try this and try that. compared to just receiving the stale wall. Because the one thing that white people, Jews or not, they are curious. What are you doing, black guy? They start asking you questions. And then we can collaborate with the trickers because we know who we're dealing with. We give them slight truths and then collaborate with their words. That's why we study, because we speak in their language. You don't go to men as a baby looking for handouts. They have the right to put their foot up your butt and say, get out of here. But when you are doing something, you will see they'll come and observe, hey, what are you doing? Let's get AI to see what they looked up. One of our greatest teachers says about them, and this is back in the 50s and 40s and even the 30s. So it's not modern times. If you want to say something in secret amongst white people, you must walk to the middle of the desert, blow in your brother's ear, and then whisper in the other ear in order to say something that they cannot hear. That was back in the days. These people are designed to be curious. So once you spark their curiosity, then know that you're dealing with a slighted mind who cannot agree with their own thoughts. They will disagree with their own answers. That's embedded in their consciousness. So once we get going and we're doing well, then they will come with questions. And you can just show, look at this, look what we're building. What are you building? What? Wow, they look at, because remember, they study, they got perfect memory because they taught to read at an early age. So they look at your address and then they'll send something because they got the money to do it. Oh, what have you been looking up? Oh. So we already know what we're going to create must be open source. Brother, I'm giving you laws now because now we're willing to build something physically. Whatever we do is going to be open source on the internet. The money that is raised and how we spent the money and how we lived our lives. There is nothing that's going to be secret. The only thing is that's going to be secret is 4 conversations in your mind, because some even listen to your thoughts. The ancient book says she knows all about you. So we are dealing with a group of people who continue to do the work, not the talk. They do the work. And you will not be allowed to be around those who have been committed doing the work, not doing nothing for yourself. It doesn't work that way. You come as an enemy because you're not speaking the language. You're irritant. So if you do not want to be an irritant, come as a man. And when you come as a man, come as knowing who you speaking to. You have to have a thorough knowledge of them and yourself. And you have to ask the question why they continue to exist despite them being exiled. They always get a fresh start because they are willing to do the work. we are not willing to do the work. God don't have no discretion. He don't care about who comes, long as you do the work. You have to be committed to the work in order to get the answers for us. And that's why we measure the earth. We measure the ley lines and the frequencies. We do the work because you and I, Brother Michael, we can read the same book and get different answers, let alone some European DNA who've been designed to be self sufficient. They got thousands of years of forcing themselves to be self sufficient. So we have to be serious about this. And like me, you talking to somebody who is on land that still doesn't have plumbing. I have running water. I don't have plumbing. I don't have all these things. So I literally know what it takes to create something from scratch. It's not talk. I barely have drywall. You see what I'm saying, brother? Most people, they are so spoiled. You know, it's a blessing to even be around somebody who live it. You understand what I'm saying? Because when you do something, brother, it's not the same. Like when you went to school, you were not the brother Michael who talked about going to school. Not the same. You're not the same being. Brother, listen. The brother who slept homeless will look at the younger brother Michael with his mom and say, look, listen, let me tell you, it's a real world out here, brother. You understand what I'm saying? You're not, it's like, so it is good to go through it, to know, because, brother, let me tell you something. When I start clearing these trees and making room through the scratches of these thick vines, I stop looking at subdivisions as anything of substance. I start looking at raw land. I'm like, damn, I didn't know that. Because I saw the transformation. But the average person will be excited looking at a subdivision, something that was already established. So I was entered to a different category. And I start meeting the men that clear out raw land. So for some reason, they start coming around me because I was one of them on a vibrational level. I already seen subdivision that's already completed work. Why do I need to look at that? I got my own address, the numbers. I had to do the work to get my specific numbers. I had to go to the proper authorities. I had to get my own mailbox. I had to find my own spot. I had to go to the government for them to drill the hole to get my own water. I had to build my own pole. I had to build my own circuitry before I called Alabama Power for them to go build the tower. You know what he told me? Before I build you a box on the pole outside in the line, how much money am I gonna make from your property? See, a lot of people they haven't spoke to the engineer. They don't have that knowledge. I had to go talk to the engineer. I had to go to Alabama Power, then behind the closed door. The guy called me. I had to meet him on the land because Alabama Power gave me the specs. They're saying this pole need to be this certain height. You need to have this and that before you can even talk to the engineer. And then the engineer had to come to the land to see if he can even put the box, the thing on the wires outside. And he had to ask how much money I'm gonna make. Is this worth my time? See, a lot of people don't know that. I mean, they go through. So I mean, so brother, it's like, and that's why when you was talking, when you was, if the rabbi spoke to me like that, it'd be this person, this thing you had to get. I'm like, who are you talking to? I speak to the engineers. Like my land, I know I'm just farther enough, close enough to the city, and farther enough from the city that I can do whatever I want on my land. So so he can't even talk to me because he buying permits. What permit? What are you talking about? Permit? What? So even he was undereducated. He wasn't educated enough. So the thing about it, brother, is it's funny. I'm thinking about that now because I totally forgot about the process I went through to get everything from scratch from raw land. And you know what, brother? It's so easy to do. They charge people so much money because we're not willing to do the work yourself. Brother, let me see. I just thought about something. I use an example. If you buy a house, brother Michael, with a swimming pool in it, it's gonna be more expensive if you bought a house that didn't have a swimming pool in it and then paid someone to build a swimming pool. You see what I'm saying? Because we pay for convenience. So again, it may be frightening, but when I went to the engineers, let me get the map. You can say a few things while I get the map because we're evidence based. You're not just going to listen to my words and I'm just run off at the mouth. Hold on, let me get the map.
While Brother Eli goes to get the map and whatever documentation that will continue to support, uh, to show and prove the procedures in which he had put forth for bringing together the very room that he is in and has been in for the entirety of the build since its inception, which is an amazing feat in my eyes. Let me say this: this build has been in proof, full proof, that we are not born wise. There are some who believe that because we have a certain decorum, because we have certain rules of engagement here, that we are in some ways arrogant. We are a very humble people, but our humility has proven itself to be stronger than the humiliations placed upon other people. Our humility is the reason why we continue forth in the learning process. And what you are witnessing tonight is myself learning. I am very grateful to God to have this type of interaction be broadcast because this will be a certain accumulation of wisdoms that years down the line, when all of this is said and done, when whatever holy set of artifacts and sacred space is created, we'll be able to look back at this and remember our humble beginnings. I am so grateful for that. There is nothing that I would rather do than to spend each week here learning. As a matter of fact, if I be a leader in anything, I'd be a leader in that so that other people would wish to learn, would have full notebooks writing down the things that I have written down, and even more notes than me. I am grateful for that. The build is not called the build for no reason. The build is called the build because we are in company of a builder.
So when you see, Brother Michael, can you hear me? Okay. When you look at this map, it will show in the red where you cannot build certain things. And I got this from, okay. Can you see it? So they'll print out this map for free where you can actually, let me show you this one. You see the homes. Hold on. So you got the homes and stuff down here, subdivisions. You see the houses, all the red zones where you can't do certain things. And matter of fact, some of the red zones where they show me they're going to do demolition, where they're going to like destroy some properties that's just sitting there. That's one example. Brother Michael, I'm about to show you the specs before you can get electricity. This is real grown-up talk right here. Let's see, is it forward or backwards? Can you see it? Can you see it?
Barely. That's only because my eyes are not as strong as they used to be. Give me just a
Hold on.
moment. But it is right as
Okay.
regards to reading.
Can you
So
see it?
it does. I can see it. It
Can
says
you?
yes.
You
Customer
look
number one, pole 18 feet, 4 feet deep, tapped, 16-foot pole. Number two, maintain pole plumb, replace if rotted. It
right.
has different cable sizes and
Right.
the
Yeah.
like.
So let me turn it for you. See, this is what you get when you're doing stuff from scratch. You just can't go say, oh, let me just get my electric turned on.
Wow, look at that. It's a
Hold on, let me see.
diagram
Right.
of the pole itself and the circuitry.
Right. You have to have
That's
all that before even thinking about going and getting your stuff. You see what I'm saying?
that's amazing.
So when you do this stuff, you see what I'm saying? It's
Hmm.
like, yo, it's a level of freedom that people don't know nothing about. You
Hmm.
see what I'm saying? You're in a different classroom. And guess what, Brother Michael? They don't ask for a college degree. We don't have to do an application. You don't have to do none of that stuff. When you
Hmm.
talk amongst men, when you go and talk in the back room with the banks, you understand what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it's like it's a different world, and it's cheaper. That's the mind-blowing thing about it. If you're willing to do the work, it is actually cheaper to do it this way. Trying to find something else. But so I had the conversation first, and we spoke about Popeye after the fact. And you know what? These people, they don't have nothing to do. They're bored most of the day, so they love to go see and talk to somebody who's willing to build. And very few people, they go run to the contractor. The contractor charge of money where you can go talk to the person yourself for free,
Mm.
and they'll print this stuff out for free, and they'll tell you the details of how to do it for free and what you can and cannot do for free. And these people charge people for that, thousands of dollars, where you can go and do and get the stuff for free.
Mm.
That's the sad thing about it. Thousands of dollars, and then people are so afraid to do it themselves because they don't teach us that. Like I don't know. I started asking questions. I didn't know any of this stuff. The people was excited to tell me.
Yeah.
I mean, when the last time you talked to somebody, Brother Michael, and they showed you these things before they bought the property? What
Never.
to do, the borders and the zones, or before they got electricity, they sold you stuff like this. What you needed first.
Never before tonight.
Right.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So this is, you know what I'm saying? It's like I wish I'm trying to find a receipt when they had to cut in my driveway. I had to go to the local government and pay them first a payment, and they set up the time to cut to make my driveway. Cut in my driveway. And it's crazy because people, it's like they don't ask for what's your ID, what's your matter of fact, when you buy property on the court steps, they don't ask for your bank account information, they don't ask for ID, they don't ask for nothing. They have the deed in their hand, and then they have where's the money? I'm about to get something else.
This is further proof of ask and you shall receive. And I believe that this is also a manifestation of the thoughts that have come across this broadcast with Brother Eli, as he said that for those who do the work, people will come. The work that I have done has not been on dirt with my fingers or dusty knees, but what it had been with included questions of which I did not ask the correct ones. And so he has come to give me the correct questions to ask. This is the reason why the brotherhood is the greatest achievement for me in this vessel for the build. For I do not know all that Eli knows, but he is willing to share with me what great blessing it is for someone to want to show you sovereignty without a catch, without a hitch, without any ulterior motives. Something similarly as selfless as this. So thankful. Also, what is being shown is something that can be applied to all of us in all areas. Does not necessarily have to be for a sacred space. It could actually be for anything that is desired, but it is open source information that we are under the guise of having to be, we created the gatekeepers in our minds that do not exist.
Here you go, Brother Michael. This right here.
Put my eyes back on. Wow, look at that. That is the state of Alabama, county of Russell. The that is the deed. That is the
That's
deed
right.
itself.
That's right. That's the deed itself. Okay. Now you can see how the paperwork comes when it comes from the attorney.
Attorney James Hall, dear Mr. Kidder. And this is wow. Find your original warranty deed.
So
Says,
also,
wow.
this is what you get. They don't ask for no bank account, no college degree, no credit score. Look how big this paper is.
Oh wow.
When you own the land, when you own your land, you get,
Wow.
everything, the specs of your land. And you see,
Wow.
oh, it's upside down.
It's upside down, but the diagram itself,
It's
the
just huge.
space itself, that is amazing. With official license. That's the official license blueprint. That is amazing.
So you
February
get the
25th,
dimensions, mhm,
2021.
and you get the dimensions and everything.
Wow.
So this is the map. You see how they got the dimensions and stuff, the line.
Yes. Yes. There's a legend that says, I think that's for every inch, there's a certain amount of square feet. There's 0.59 acres that is there, which is, let me tell you, is a good part of land if you're looking at the math of how
Yes,
long and how far and how wide an acre is.
right. A lot
And
of people don't know.
it's amusing to me because we were under the guise of each one of us given 40 acres and a mule
Yes,
when 0.59 acres is so much.
I had. Let me see. I want to know. Let me see if I get the complete. Hold on, because I have not too much to an actual acre. Um, I don't know if this say it. Let me see if it's on the deed. What I do with the deed? Remember, no college degree, no all this flim flam and smokery. Your credit score and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a lot, brother. Hold on, I'm gonna show a little bit for you.
Yeah.
So you can read it. This is from the deed. All right, let's see. Hold on.
Okay.
It's right.
Yes.
Can you read a little
Wow.
bit of it?
Yes. The northeast corner of the southeast half, the northeast quarter. Says section 17, township 17 north, range 30. These are coordinates of the space in which he has.
You see the
Russell
feet?
County, Alabama. It says run south 0 0.2 degrees, 15 minutes, 54 seconds, east, a distance of 660 feet. Thence run south 89 degrees, 14 minutes, 6 seconds, west, a distance of 844 feet. This is a nice amount of space.
Right. Right. So that's what I'm saying, brother. It's like, you know, um um it's just again when you are serious about life, because I told you how what happened was I was with, a person at the time, and when they were selling their home, I remember we couldn't even talk to the buyers. And we was like in the same room with the buyers. I'm like, you had to wait to the attorney to speak. To me, I'm not into baby stuff. So I'm like,
Right.
this is some weird stuff. So I learned all this stuff myself. And I remember I went to my first auction. They didn't ask for ID. I'm like, no
Mm,
credit
mm,
score.
mm,
They don't
mm.
ask you if you got a felony. When you on the other
Mm.
side, they don't ask none of this kind of stuff. Even when you
So,
start your corporation, like when you start your corporation,
yeah,
they
I
don't
was
ask
about to ask that. Yeah.
They don't
Mm,
ask. Here, I get some of my paperwork on my corporation. Even one of
mhm.
my bank account for my corporation, Wells Fargo, they don't ask for all that kind of stuff.
Let me ask you this then, Brother Eli, because of all of the evidence. because of how much you have shown and proved, I must ask this question: is homelessness an elective? Is it a choice when you do not have to have any prerequisites other than curiosity to push forth with your own works, to have your own land? In this day and age, is that not a choice?
I would say it's a choice, like all life, all forms of life, because we're literally online talking right now, and I showed you documentation. Um, like I said, I can show you other documentation of when I started my LLC, when I went to court to start my business. I went through the whole process, and don't nobody ask you these things. What's your degree? What's your credit score? They don't ask none, brother. And that's why I'm so happy when I heard you was willing to go to the next stage,
Yes,
actually doing something.
yes,
Um, because I've been doing this all by myself. I can imagine having somebody around who I can trust.
yes.
That's it's really, you know, um, you know, yeah, it's a whole new different ball game, brother. I'm telling you.
And for the
Because
record, before I go any further, I don't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry,
yes, sir.
brother, but if anyone, I want to make sure, has any objection or feels slighted in any way in regards to the homeless, I myself was a person who was homeless by choice for a total of 10 months in the state of New York. So I do understand from a first person account of what that means, what that entails. It is in no way a slight to the homeless community. However, it is an enlightenment of a new approach towards sovereignty for the self that I deem very important here. Okay.
True indeed. And I also slept in my car as well, Ron, because when I discovered rent was crazy, brother.
Mm.
Because I'm gonna ask you this question when it comes to rent. Name anything else in existence. If you make the payments on time for a whole year, does the price go up or the price go down? Which one?
It goes down,
Except rent.
except rent.
Rent goes up.
Rent goes up.
So I said, let me sleep in my car until I figure it out. So I slept in my car, and I took my showers at Love gas station. So because
Hmm.
I love, cause I don't mind being open book, because people, they think people don't actually try this stuff. But
And it's strengthened a transparency of that sort because then no one can tell any lies on you.
that's correct. That's correct. You asked a question, brother. What was that question again? What was I talking about when you?
About homelessness being a choice, because now we're in the know now from this broadcast of how much you can do without any
An
education
ID,
required, no ID, not
college
even a
degree,
question of whether or not you have been to prison. So that
credit score,
credit
right?
score, any of those things in regards to what we believe status, that importance in status in order to achieve whatever is needed as a prerequisite in our own minds, who have not done the work of what needs to be shown. This is mind blowing to me because I see that community on an everyday basis and have even empathized deeply because of the situation that I had made a choice to be in. People thought of me as crazy. Why would you choose to be homeless? Why would you not, instead of move back with your mother, choose to be 3,653 miles away from her on the street? And it was for the exact same reason that Brother Eli had displayed so eloquently. And I mean that not as a hyperbole, I mean that in a very literal form about the baby raising its own neck. about going to the mother's teat without any prior knowledge of this. I wanted to do it on my own. I wanted to do myself the service of finding the man in me that could survive on my own. And even then, because of the work that was done on that, helpers came. That's amazing, brother. This is more documentation. This is official documentation.
Let me know
I'm
what
a,
you see.
let's see here. The state of Alabama, the docket. Oh, this is the legalities. This is the docket. This is when he went to court for the Public Service Commission in Montgomery, Alabama. Docket number 33942, certificate 4113. And it goes down further. September 11th, 2020, amazing date. Motor carrier certificate for 113 was issued.
Mhm.
Lane C, 2004 Tillery Lane, C14,
That's the
Phoenix
old
City,
address.
yeah, Alabama. And goes further on to say to become an effective 30 days after the date hereof.
Is it
So
my own
this was,
hurt? I'm just showing you
that's
documentation
amazing.
what I did all by myself. But I'm telling you, brother, it's like I'm telling you. So you have 19 family members who started black family that started buying their land, taking care of business. I found another couple. They bought 25 acres and they built in their land. So you got black people that are actually trying it right now as we speak. I'm talking about
Mhm.
raw land. And it's amazing once you discover the freedom you have on raw land. Also, when you get your when you decide to corporate the land, become an actual city, you gotta make your own laws, your own police, your court, all that stuff, which is easy to do because I remember on my family's land in Georgia, the mayor was at the gas station drinking a beer. So there's a reason why certain communities start out in rural areas because you don't have all these red tapes, but it takes work. But the
Mm,
freedom, you can be your own man. You understand what I'm
mm,
saying? So it's
mhm.
different, like with my cell phone is my corporation's corporate cell phone. And I added another person to it. It was cheap to add another person to it. And what sparked it when Shaq says when he lost all his money, he's like, wait a minute, I got a business and I put all my children's cell phone in my business. I'm gonna do the same
Mhm,
thing. And
mhm,
I had discounts, that I ain't know nothing about.
mhm.
So the thing about it, brother, is once you get on this side, you really feel disrespected or slighted by humanity and their cries of suffering.
Mhm.
Even when you own land, a certain amount of acreage, you get waivers at a certain age, 60 or 65. You don't have to pay property taxes, but you got to turn in paper. It's just so much stuff when you're on the other side. And that's why people don't tell. They mind their business.
Mm.
It's so much stuff, brother. So much. It's like and that's why when you mentioned, building, I was like, oh, okay, let's see. And that's why I'm mind showing you the evidence.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
by now, if I'm about it, I'm about it. And
Yeah.
it'd be amazing to have somebody to help because that's why everybody else is successful. Every other race of people is successful. The
Yeah.
Mexicans are successful now, so everybody bypasses, but we do have a few blacks is willing to build for themselves. But you talking with a brother that literally know how to do it. Not talking,
Mhm.
not believing, not blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Do it.
Mhm. I'm grateful
Um,
for that. I am.
it's
I
a new,
had
yes, sir.
I had I not have been diligent or taken seriously of these very first infantile steps, but steps
Steps,
nonetheless,
right? Yes.
I would not have ever known the process that you went through to achieve what you've achieved so far. Rightfully so, because it would not have been worth your time to do that. So, what has happened here is I've officially earned another layer. I won't say a level, but a layer of respect in this brotherhood because of due diligence and a fervor to want to do the work. I am grateful for that.
I'm about to show you something else. How much taxes I pay a year?
He
Uh,
laughs.
like $95 a year. 95.
2 digits number.
I can show you my water bill. My water bill was like $12. Um, is it program?
Wow.
Let's see. Uh, I wonder if my numbers are in here. Let me see. I'm trying to. Come on. Let me start from scratch. But yeah, so county property tax, pay tax. So the thing about it is, oh, I should have went to tax record. Let's see. Alabama. All right. So you see, let me show you. If is this the part I can log in? Please visit. All right.
Russell County, Alabama, Revenue Commissioner Naomi Elliott.
All right. Let me scroll up. Let me scroll up. Uh, all right. Let me see. I want to pay property tax. Let me see if it's this site. And that's what I'm saying, brother. Like I said, if you willing to jump into the ring, let me go to. I'm gonna go show you this site, but then I'm gonna go to. I'm actually go to where it says pay the taxes. Okay.
Naomi Elliott, Revenue Commissioner. Okay, say address and says the technical assistance contact below to enter your county's GIS website while at your office or home PC. So you can do all of this over the phone.
I can actually look at everything at where you sitting at right now. Who own it? How much it costs? The land, all that kind of stuff. Literally right now. Because I remember I was staying with somebody. And they were saying they owned the land, all that kind of stuff, and I did my work, and it was in somebody else's. You know what I'm saying? So you can,
We
what?
have to show and prove. That
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
we
Let me
have to
see.
do that. Yes.
It says okay. I'm gonna show right here.
Okay.
It
This
says
is
pay
Russell
tax,
County.
right?
Right.
Okay.
Huh. Uh-huh.
Search and pay tax. I clicked on it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think my login information should already be in because I don't know it. Yes, it's already in there. My
Okay.
information. So I'm about to click sign in. Okay. I'm signed in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me see. Okay. All right. So I'm trying to see. Now, mind you, when you Google, so you gotta I didn't. They don't. They don't necessarily know about the upgrade of the land. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so just
Mm-hmm.
remember that they don't know the
Mm-hmm.
upgrade because you let them know, and then it'd be more expensive, and then they
Mm-hmm.
charge more tax money. So I'm just
Right.
chilling for a second.
Right.
Um, so let me see if I can do this. All right. Let's see. Let me see something real quick. Uh, let me go to history. Let's see if that shows. All right. Let me see if I can turn it sideways. Yeah, portrait. If it shows the entire thing, so you can see. Okay. All right. So it shows the year. You're gonna see my name and see how much I paid in property taxes, and it shows the date. Let's see.
Okay.
Hold
Let's
on.
see if it, I, it's hard to read. Let me see here. It looks like it says, is that $79?
97. Hold on.
90, that is $95 and
Mhm.
76 cents.
All right. Now
Paid.
show you my name.
That's the name. That's his
Hmm.
receipt number, and
Right.
that was his taxes.
Right. So you see the website.
Mm-hmm.
So this the website.
Uh-huh.
So, hold on.
What's that? Capture citizen access.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
this is the evidence.
That's the evidence. That's the
So,
evidence.
Brother Michael, when you live in a subdivision, say for instance 10 acres, like where people live at, I know right now, the average home is 300,000, 400,000 on about 10 acres. There's about 50 houses on there.
Yeah.
Think about it. You can buy the land for cheaper than one of those houses in the whole entire subdivision. And see, and they don't ask for your credit score, your college degree. What's your name? You okay, brother? Something you almost fell again?
The seat.
Oh, yes, sir.
It is violently descending upon me.
Because you add some weight on your shoulders, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently.
You getting heavy. You add some weight on your
Oh
shoulders,
my
brother.
gosh. That is something.
you know, so and that's why when you drive, and that's why builders they build because they get the contracts. They
Mhm.
get the like say for instance, if you and I decide to put some money together and get a 501c3, Bank of America or Wells Fargo, they got this thing called REMO, REMO.
Remo. Write that down.
When you prove that you have, when if you prove that your nonprofit been in existence in good standing for 1 year, they will donate you a house for free. For free. They got
Pardon my bewilderment. That's wow. That's amazing.
it was a brother who had a church. I've seen him do it myself, him and his wife.
Wow.
So the thing about it is, again, when you have a team of people, it works faster.
Mhm.
Um, and again, when you go to these places, like when you go to like if you go into the probate court or other court, you go behind the door, and all the deeds of the land, all the stuff is right there, even
Mhm.
online. Matter of fact, I got a list. They will send you a free list if you just call the commissioner's office for the list of houses that's in foreclosure, that's been abandoned. All means all for free. List pages of property. And it's just not that, brother. It's not all that, and it's something else how people paying rent at places. Especially if you got a team like me. Like if I was like in a marriage or situation where somebody has some kind of common sense and we put our, what I'm saying. But it's
Mm,
always people like me is way in the corner, by themselves somewhere, you know.
mm,
But I'm telling you, brother, it's not that hard. But the thing about it, when you got a committed team, like when I was with my Somalian brothers, we had this law: loyalty is more important than money, because when you have a loyal team, we can make all the money in the world. So again, that's why when you mention that mikvah and all that kind of stuff, I kind of already have the idea of everything without their opinion, because it's not
mm,
even needed when you're
mm,
amongst sovereign people.
mm,
So now you got certain knowledge that I didn't even know I was going to share because I've been had this information. Um, so now you see it, brother.
mm,
It's not that difficult to be successful financially in this world, which is mandatory, if you got the right team to work together. So
mm.
there it is, brother. You saw some of it. I wish I can find. Oh, let me show you my water bill. If I got my receipt, I ain't gonna be able to find it. Let me show you my water bill. Phoenix City Utilities. Let me show you my water bill. All righty. Okay, so you see, it says, you see it?
Let me see.
Okay.
It says bill pay, ways to pay.
Phoenix City, right?
Phoenix City, yes.
All right.
Hmm.
So let me click on bill, pay bill. Let me log in. My log information should be in there loaded. All righty. So I'm about to go in and okay. Um, view details. Well, I can just show you this. Let me know what you see. You see that?
$4
Yeah,
and 65 cents.
right. And you see what I've been paying, right?
Wow.
So let me click on details on one. All righty. Let me show you. Uh, Let me show you. Cause they show where I overpaid. Cause I always overpay. When you're paying $12, $7. So the bill, you see, the bill was actually 11.90 something, and I paid $25.
Right. Wow. Imagine, imagine paying two times any utility bill in your home comfortably of your own volition. A case, I can't get over this. A case of these is $5.99 in a grocery store. Brother Eli has shown you that he has paid for a month's worth of water in less than one case of this bottled water that has been on its last 10 bottles yesterday that we purchased 4 days ago. This is for scale. This is for scale in regards to the subject matter tonight: sovereignty.
Hmm.
Whew, that
Yeah.
is something.
Yeah. It's and see the thing about it is and that's why I said my people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. And like I said, it's just amazing. We just go on the other side. Like I didn't go and say, let me get my water bill, my electric bill, turn on that kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying? I can show you the paperwork of, it's so my thing about it is, like you said, once you mentioned doing it, I was like, oh yeah, that shouldn't be no problem because once you got the right people that you can trust, you can do stuff. I mean, um, just for example, like you said, your wife, she's already an accountant. Like I can be hired on as a subcontractor to help like the company. You understand what I'm saying? I can do some of the paperwork, get the numbers right. You can do some of the paperwork, and she do the final review, and we can pick up clientele, and then we get a lot of more deductions because we actually running a company, a legitimate company. When you got the right people working together and there's a common goal, it's not that difficult, brother. It's really not. Because even like the land that I'm on, like you spoke about, um, say for instance, you got four people. Like, what if I had an imaginary wife, right? A really cool person that y'all get a small or mid size or whatever size you want, and like even a mobile home and put it here, right? And we had a mobile home. I think about four can fit on this land. So we lived on this land with two mobile homes. And they look amazing now. They got the fireplaces. I mean, actually look like $1 million homes. It's kind of crazy.
They
That
do.
Yeah, it's some, but you know
Yes.
what I mean. But just the the sit for the journey for a good 4 years and save money, right, for the vision. Then we can move out of these places. I can buy a home independent. Y'all can buy a home independent, and then rent out these places with other mobile homes added onto it because Mexicans and people paying a tremendous amount of money just for junk because the land is already paid for. So first 2 3 years you're on this land, you're standing, you can have a double wide, it can be 3,000 square foot, it can be nice, but you're on land, you don't have to pay, you just pay for electric, so the money is saved. So you say, well, I work for a good month, let me go to Korea because you got enough money, and then you completely turn your electric off and your water off because you don't got, you see what I'm saying, you need travel while the money is collected. So do it for a good few years. Buy another home for like $20,000 because they got a lot of homes for $10,000, $20,000 you can pay cash. Already established homes, maybe equity in as well. Move into those, get off the land, and start renting it out to Mexicans and people and have them build their own community. So you already have two mobile homes on this land, and then we buy two more mobile homes or even smaller ones, like 1 bedroom mobile homes. They're popular down here, 1 bedroom. So buy two, 2 to 3 bedroom mobile homes, and then 4 to 4 single room mobile homes on this land,
Mhm.
and rent them out. $600 for the 1 bedroom and $1,500 for the other one. That's how much. I mean, people paying for raggedy ones down here. It's kind of crazy because they can't get nowhere else. So that money is paying for the homes that we bought. Because they got a lot of homes for $20,000, brother. While the company is being run, doing the accounting business and other businesses, while what we doing. So if we already know you're doing a chiropractic work or you're going back to school to get the, you see what I'm saying? All at the same time within the 5 year project. Now, after that is done, everything is paid for because it's easy to pay off these houses when you have people getting paid, they paying the rent. So if we got four small 1 bedroom mobile homes, charge $500 a piece, so that's 4 times 5. That's what, $2,000 a month,
Yes.
right? So we pay the rent on these mobile homes, which will be about maybe 200 something. So we just take 300. They got to pay their rent. They got to establish it. They got to do all that kind of stuff. And then the bigger ones, they paying 1,500. And the company is being run with a vision. And we've started a little store or a little prayer room. You see what I'm saying? Or
Mm-hmm.
spiritual stuff. That's gonna bring in money too. That's a fact. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? And you building a community. So you got this community. We may even find a young girl with a baby, right? So we find a young girl with a baby. We start a daycare in her home because here you can at least have 6 or 7 children in this house. So she's already home anyway with her one child. We support her in our religious organization, a daycare. So she take on 4 more children. They pay like $400 to $500 a week. You see what I'm saying? Brother,
Mm-hmm.
it's really not hard to really do something, especially if you got a good team. I just really never had nobody because you're supposed to start stuff like this with your wife and your marriage, and you
Mm-hmm.
got all these people that don't have a vision at all. Only thing they know is work, and they just self-sabotage and just look stupid and ruin everybody's time because you're gonna get time back. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really not that tough. It costs $700 to get 501c3,
Mm-hmm.
and to get, what I'm saying, get a home for rebuild it. It's really not that difficult. It's really not. It's really easy. It's the only thing about it is just having the knowledge and the team and the patience and the due diligence. That's it. Also, they got this thing called Jane Pro. Jane Pro, the cleaning service.
Yes.
Jane Pro down here, brother, you can get your own franchise for $2,300. You got a black couple who got their first franchise. They've been in it for 10 years. Now they got 2 years. They got 10 employees now. But it's kind of tough to get good workers. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's really not that
Mm-hmm.
hard. Um, it's kind of a disgrace. Um, because you got people buying really expensive cars and big screen TVs and all this other stuff when it can be going for something else, that you're building on. Because, and again, this place where I live at, Panama City Beach, Florida, is like 3 hours away going south. You have a drive about 45 minutes. You have Pine Mountain where you go camping, canoeing, Callaway Gardens. Also, if you want to drive another 45 minutes, you be in Atlanta. If you want to be in a city to go, you know what I'm saying? If you want to go east for a couple hours, they got this thing called Perry, Georgia, where they have the largest fair. You know what I'm saying? So this spot right here is if you want to live a simple life, but if you get bored, you have options that you don't got to fly out. And then if you want to go international, you just go to Atlanta Airport, Hartsfield International, and then go to a different country. You see what I'm saying? Then the weather is not cold here for long periods of time. So, it's just a
Mm-hmm.
lot if you have a vision, um, for yourself and you really about that business of being sovereign. The opportunities are all around.
Initially, when we had our build on Friday, which we have every week, my intention was to dig as deep of a dive as I could in what sovereignty is and dissect it like a frog in front of the people.
Yes.
And instead, what was much greater was a brother showing and proving by example
Evidence.
the evidence, the documentation, showing and proving on his own due diligence and accord that this can be a reality for anyone who dares the mighty thing of doing the work. I could not have asked for anything greater this build, and I thank God for it. I've learned a lot from it. If no one else says that they have lied. You have seen some mighty things tonight. And I, for one, am even that much more excited about going forth in the discipline of this due diligence. Make no mistake, this is not a motivation. Motivations are temporary. And discipline will last until the dying day if it is instilled enough within the disciplinarian. I have learned that. We have fought more for less. It is time to create and truly build our sovereignty with the knowledge of those who have done this without permission. They have taken it before asking. Some were thieves, others were engineers and pioneers. There is a thin line between it, but I am glad that I have found myself and my brother on the right side of that line.
In this boring place, right? Why are you going to these Sunday meetings? What you going to get out of it, right?
Yes, because there are other people who would rather watch something on social media for 2 hours and 1 minute and 57, 58, 59 seconds and counting. However, I can say that I have tasted the sweetness that is going through the first few layers and finding the center of what this build stands for, if no other day than today. So thankful.
And another thing, Michael, I do stuff for free because this basic stuff, they say first thing you gotta go to a lawyer and he'll give you all this flim flam stuff, and I just showed you for free.
Yep,
Even
that's right.
creating if you could just Google how much it costs to create an LLC and all that kind of stuff. People charge a minute, and I just willing to give it up for free. Like, look, it's easy to do this.
Yeah.
So yes, y'all may not want to hang out with us, but when you decide, you at least get some information that will help you if you want to help. And that's another thing. I hope and pray that sister who we prayed for the cancer can receive another beautiful small prayer because we want to be consistent because once we discover something, we got to at least say something. So my little piece, I hope and pray that the love of life and God will bless you and heal you for your situation that you're dealing with. I'm saying it with a loving and a humble heart. So I hope in God heal you for the disease that you might be dealing with. I can't remember the sister's name, but we all know what we're talking about. Bless.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Hmm. We we have for each one of these builds have grown more in regards to how much understanding has been collected and documented here than anything. Um, one of the things that I hope happens in the coming weeks is that one day soon I will be able to show such results of due diligence because that was amazing of a trail of what it means to be sovereign did not have to be found in any book tonight. It's right beside me. Indeed. Indeed. And in regards to Paula,
Hmm.
she is indeed uh, going forth holistically through the process. She has refused chemotherapy. Um, And she says that as she has been in remission 2 times before, she will beat it again, but she will beat it in a better light because she has people who care enough to pray for her. She was surprised when I told her.
Yeah, we action based, brother. We action based. Definitely. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, indeed. This is only the tip of the iceberg, maybe not even a nail in the wood that is the build in regards to this
Yes.
literal building.
Yes.
There's much to come. Dare I say it? I am, just because of my rules, our rules here, I would not take time for granted. And we will come to a close at 2 hours and 6 minutes because there is so much more to dig deep into. But alas, even with time not ever being enough, I and my brother the candles, we cannot complain. For the candle cannot complain against
It's
the
the
darkness
darkness
and
and
the
the
harshness.
harshness.
It instead
Midst
admits itself
itself.
and admits
Midst
to itself
itself.
that it
It
is
is
everything
everything it
that it
ever
needs.
needed.
It
It
is
is the
the
light.
light, and
We
we
are
are that
light.
light. We will not blow this candle away from us, as that would be a disservice. Instead, we take this candle in and we show without a shadow of a doubt
Rip.
that we are not harmed.
That's a wick.
Yes,
There you go.
we have dirt on our fingers because we are doing the work, but we are not harmed. Many, many multitudes of blessings to anyone who witnesses this brick placed onto the temple that will one day be, as it is, the build.
Don't forget the prayer, brother. Do that little prayer for Sister Paula.
Gracious presence and essence of God within and without us, the source of all existence of which we subsist and persist upon. We continue in bowed head, humble heart, and mind to ask that Paula, in her fight towards remission, that she achieves daily enough strength to carry on another day so that she may go forward with each step towards a new version of herself, a more grateful version of herself, a cancer free version of herself, full of fruition, a word in which is not just for cancer, but also of sin to be free from. We do this humbly, but would see its success with proud hearts, proud, clean hearts, that our work of faith has proven itself to not be dead, to be alive through the Spirit, which is our voice, asking in the name of the Father and Mother to bring forth more life to this particular woman. We ask not as if this is a hope that one day it will be done. We ask it in manifestation within the sovereignty of our spirit that it already is done. It's just we are waiting for the time in which the document will be printed as a legend that prayer and faith can avail of many things. We pray this as she would, in the name of the loving Savior Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
And I'm sorry we didn't get that Mason brother on yet.
I am too. That will come for another discussion.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
Blessings. Blessings.